So welcome to the video lecture series on technical training, and in today's video lecture we will be learning about the concepts which is related to project development. So project specification statement will be given over here, and we will be converting that into a complete project with the help of servlets here. And the project statement uh, is like this. For example, the project statements which is related to a bank. So in a bank, you have two types of deposits. One is a fixed deposit and recurring deposit. And in the first page, HTML page, you should actually categorize whether it's a fixed deposit or recurring deposit, and number of years based on the years or based on the age of the customer. If the age is above 60, he will be classified as senior customer, and it is below, then we call it an ordinary customer. And this way, so based on the whether he is a customer or a senior citizen, the rate of interest will be varying. So, and this is the rules for it. And we have a set of rules where if age is above 60, he is classified as senior citizen, and if not so, then he is classified as an ordinary customer. And if the age is below a threshold level, we can say that it is an invalid age. Okay, and we have two types of servlets. One is a senior citizen servlet, and another is customer servlet. And the respective fixed deposit rates and recurring deposit rates has been given over here. And finally, you should get the output like this. For example, this is a sample output, and if the amount is so and so 20,000 and the age is 65, so whether based on whether he is a senior citizen or an ordinary customer and the type of the deposit he is using, the rate of interest actually varies here. So you have to finally get the output like this. Okay, so this is the project statement, and we will go and implement this project now. Okay. Now, first thing, we will actually create a dynamic web project, and project statement, I just make it as bank FD project. So I just make it as bank FD project. Yes, it's already existing, so I just make it as bank RD project. Okay, so the target machine here is actually Apache Tomcat 7.0. So we are going to use a Tomcat version server, and then just check the web.xml. This is going to be the deployment descriptor. So finish it off. So I just go here, bank RD project, it's here, and then web content, and in web.inf you can see that web.xml is existing. And now the first thing what we are going to do here is we are going to create a HTML page, and HTML page should follow the rules like this. So HTML page should have the name called as account type, and you should have 4 parameters: amount, years, age, and account type. And account type, you have to select any one among this two. Okay, now I just going to create a HTML page account type. So account type dot HTML. Okay, so first thing, we just create a form. Method is equal to post method here. So I use a post method, and action, I just bank serve. Okay, and action I have given bank serve. And the first thing I want to use amount here. Amount input type equal to text, name equal to amount. Amount is called as a text box here, and use break tag. And I want 3 other text boxes like this. One is for age, another is for years. Okay, so first one is for age here. So age, and I name the text box as age, and the next one is years, and the name is also years here. Okay, and the last one is actually I need account type. So account type, I have to classify which type of account it belongs. In this case, I cannot use a text box, I have to use a radio button. So I use input type equal to radio, Name, I just make it as account type. So I should have a common name for two radio buttons. So then only I can select any one among them. Value is equal to FD. FD. So first one is actually a fixed deposit. And the next one is actually a recurring deposit. So I have a similar control here. I have to make a similar controls account type. So instead of FD, I make the value as RD, and fixed deposit will be changed as recurring deposit. Okay. And finally, I should actually have a submit button here. Input type is equal to submit. So value is equal to submit. That's it. And we'll just make a BR here. That's it. Okay. So now we will ensure whether this is working properly or not. So I just go to account type and then run it. So you should actually able to run this without any flaws. So now obviously, so one thing we have to check it out. So if you select fixed deposit or recurring deposit, so any one can be selected. Yes, that's the reason. Okay, now if I press submit, actually I will be going to a bank server, but it is not actually getting connected here. So bank servlet, it has to come connect to a servlet, but I have not coded for servlet. So now we will be coding the servlet now. So what we have to do now? So the next statement says, I go to the next statement. So HTML is done now. So I should design a bank servlet, and where I have to categorize whether the age is above 60, it is senior citizen. Then I have to go to the servlet which is named as senior citizen, else I have to go to customer servlet, else I should actually name it as an invalid age here. So notification has to be redirected to account type if it is a age is actually below 21. So now we will actually work it out. So bank project, RD project. So I will create three servlets here. So first servlet named as I just use com.bank is the package name, and then the first servlet is bank servlet. Bank servlet is done. Now I have SRC. I will ensure whether it is created. Yes, bank servlet is created. Now I create another servlet called a senior citizen servlet. So com.bank, inside com.bank package I have senior citizen. Next and finish. So another servlet, and the third servlet I have to create a customer servlet. So go new servlet, and again on the same package com.bank, just create customer. Okay, so now this is going to be the customer servlet and another senior citizen servlet. So three servlets I have created at a time. So all three servlets has been created. Now I have to make the decision only in bank servlets. That's what the specification has given. Now I go to the bank servlet. So when I go to the bank servlet, I just come to do post method, because account type I have given the request as post method. Okay, the type of the request I make here is called as post. So I have to go to bank servlet and handle it in do post method. So in do post method, so I have to collect all the parameters here. So what are all the parameters I have to send? Now the first one is string name. String. The first one is amount. Okay. So amount. So now for the sake of understanding, now we'll be receiving it in the string format. Request dot get parameter. Request dot get parameter. So first one is amount here. I received an amount here. The next one, I need an age here. Age and years I have to get it. So second one, I just receive age age. Okay, so we will do one thing, we will convert this into a double one. So because uh, age is actually, we need age in double format, amount, so I just make it as double and I convert it double dot parse double. Okay, so why I'm doing this, obviously when you just get a value like this, it will be considered as a string, but you want to convert that into a double value, and that's why double dot parse double converts a string to double value. Now the second one is age. So age is actually in integer here, so this is the place where you have to make the comparison. Now to convert this into an integer, just I make integer dot parseInt, and when a string is passed here, so I should actually get age here. Close this. Now the third one is actually years. So third one, integer years. Okay. Now this is again I have to convert it, integer dot parseInt. So just convert years. Yes, that's it. Now job is done. So fourth thing what I have to get here is actually I have to convert, I have to get an account type, nature of account type here. So what type of account type it is. So if the account type is actually a fixed deposit or recurring deposit, so it should be a string data type. So string account type is equal to request dot get parameter. So use account type. Okay. So this is the name which I have given for the radio buttons. So I have got all these values. The first thing what I have to do here is I have to compare this whether the age is actually greater than 60. Okay. So if the age is greater than 60, so I should actually transmit the server control to senior citizen servlet. So if age is actually greater than 60, now use a request dispatcher. RD is equal to request dot get request dispatcher. Okay, get request dispatcher, and you just send a string like the senior. Okay, so this is to indicate that this senior string should actually have connected with a senior citizen servlet. Okay, so just for indication I am sending it as a senior. Now dispatcher I have to import the package, Java servlet package. It has been imported. Now use rd.forward and use two objects here, one is request and another is response. Okay, now these things rd, it's rd here. Now another thing what I have to do is I have to compare, make the comparison, else if age is greater than 21 and age is greater than 21 and age is actually less than 60. Okay, so obviously he is a customer, so in this case I should transfer the control to ordinary customer servlet. So here also I have to apply request dispatcher. So here I just use customer. Okay, now the senior and customer strings has to get connected with the respective servlets. Now else the last thing is you have to get if the age is actually below 21, you should get an error here. So in this case I will use a print writer method. I have to print something here and I have to redirect that. So use print writer so go to out is equal to request response dot get writer. That's it. Okay, and print writer actually should belong to IO package here, so I just import the package. Now use out.println. So whatever you print over here, this information has to be passed to the redirected page. Okay, in this case I have to redirect the page to account type.html. So I use a tag called as h2 tag and use style just to indicate the color of it. So color, I just make it as red, and just I will use single quotes here because double quotes is used as a string separator here. Now I just invalid, I have to make a indication that's called as invalid age. Just use h2, that's it. Now the next step what you have to do is you have to use request dispatcher, but instead of using forward use include. Okay, because this whatever I print in the servlet should be available. So that means this content invalid age should be available in the HTML page. So I have to redirect to the HTML page called as account type.html. Okay, so now nearly 40 to 50% of the code has been completed. Now we will ensure whether it is working properly or not. So the first thing I will just do here is I will pass the values and ensure whether it is getting passed to the respective servlets. Okay. Now the problem here is actually I have not configured yet, so I have to configure the servlet here. So what is the servlet I have to configure? So if the action tag is having bank serve, then it should actually go to the bank servlet. So how to do that? So I just come over here in web.xml, just use servlet and then use servlet mapping. And in servlet mapping, into servlet you should have two tags here. One is servlet name and another is servlet class. And the next one is in servlet mapping also you should have servlet name, name, and the next one is called as URL pattern. Okay, so I just give any name called as bank. Servlet name can be anything, so I just give bank. And in servlet class, now it all belongs to com.package, com.bank. I should give a fully qualified name. So the name of the servlet is called as bank servlet. Okay, so when this bank servlet should get connected, so as soon as I get bank ACR in action tag, I should actually get connected to bank servlet. So use bank ACR. Okay, so this is the tag information what you got in action tag. Okay, action attribute is actually having bank serve. So this information has to be given in URL pattern, then only it will get mapped with this bank servlet. Now the next thing is I should actually stay connected with the respective servlets here. Other type of servlets is if I get senior, it should actually connect with senior citizen servlet. So and here also I just make it as a bank one. So here I should connect with senior citizen. Okay, so when you can connect it, so as soon as you get senior, so that's what we have created in request dispatcher. So in request dispatcher of bank servlet, you can see here, if you get senior, then it should actually connect with senior servlet, and if you get customer, it should connect with customer servlet here. So I just go to web.xml. So senior, you get connected to senior citizen servlet. Now I just copy the content again because I have to configure for another servlet also. So another servlet here is I have to configure for customer servlet. Just make it as bank2, the name of the servlet as. So here the name of the servlet is customer, and as soon as you get customer in the action tag, that's it. Okay, now I have configured the servlet. So please, I will ensure whether it is going properly or not. Finish. Okay. Okay, so something wrong in this web.xml. We will just try it out. Customer, bank, SER, bank servlet, senior citizen, customer. Okay. We'll do one thing, just make bank SER instead of bank servlet. We will make some other name here. So I'll do one thing, just copy this content. So I'll save this now. We will ensure whether it is working properly or not. Account type. So now save this, run it. So if it is working fine, then it means yes. Now there's not any issue with this thing. Now see here, I use amount 12,000 and age is actually I give 65 and years 5 years, and I just give a recurring deposit when I press submit. Actually now it is actually going to bank servlet, and bank servlet is actually searching for senior, and senior is not available because we have not connected with this servlet here. Okay, but what happens is if I give an invalid age here, say for example I give the age called as 19, so I should did redirected message here, so I'm getting it as an invalid age. Okay, so obviously there is not any problem with this. Now what we have to do here is we should go to web.xml. We have to configure that. Now I'll first configure a senior citizen servlet. So instead of bank, I just give XYZ. So use senior citizen, citizen. Okay. So then instead of bank servlet, I just make it as customer. So senior. Okay, so now this should be named as XYZ. So this name should be common here. Now let us see that in senior citizen servlet it is getting communicated, because all the request dispatchers are actually called as post methods. Okay, so just use print writer out is equal to request response dot get writer. So in this case, print writer belongs to IO package. So I use IO package here. Then out dot print writer println. So welcome to senior citizen servlet. Okay. So we have to get this information. If I actually pass the age which is above 65. Now use account type, go here, finish, restart it. Okay, now amount I give 12,000, it's not now needed. Now I give the age called as 64, so definitely it should go to senior citizen servlet. Number of age is 5 years, 5. I just give fixed deposit. Okay, now obviously it is going to a senior citizen servlet. Okay, now what we have to do is we have to collect all these values, and you have to put the values in the appropriate fashion. Now see here how to collect values from servlet to servlet. There are multiple methods, but in this case we will be using a session method here. We will establish a session, and through that session we will create a session variables, and from that session variables we will collect all the variables in the respective servlets. Now in bank servlet, so I have collected 4 types of values here. Okay, all these 4 types of values I have collected. Now what we are going to do is I'm going to just put it inside the session. So to create a session I use http session session is equal to request dot get session. Okay, So once session is created and session has to be included with the respective package. Okay, now use session dot set attribute. So first attribute, you have to use amount here, and you store amount. Okay, amount is nothing but I'm going to use the session variable amount here. Okay, so for sake of understanding, we just make it as amount sv. Amount sv means it's called as amount session variable. Now I just want to create 3 more sessions here. So the second one I have to put is called as age sv, and I just put age here. And third, I am going to create years sv. Years sv is called a session variable, and I am going to copy the years here. And fourth, I want to put account type. So account type sv session variable, and use account type. Okay, now all these values has been given. Now I have to collect all these values in the respective servlets. Now if I go to senior citizen servlet, this values has to be collected in senior citizen servlet. Now how to collect this value? So I go to senior citizen servlet. So I am inside the senior citizen servlet. So I just print this message h1. Okay, so first thing, if you want to collect a session variables, then you have to obviously create a session. So usually, as usual, I just create HTTP session, and then I just create request dot get session. Okay, that's it. Now include the package now. Okay, now you have to collect the respective values. Now the first one is use double. I want to get amount here, amount. Okay, so use session dot get attribute. Get attribute. So and what is the session variable name? It is called as amount sv. Amount sv, where the session variable value is getting stored. Okay, but understand that this is going to be an object, but I want double here, so we just convert to double. Okay, so next one, I want to collect all these values here. Next one is age. Now the next one is actually age here. It is belongs to integer type, so int age, and age sv. Age sv, and here it should be integer, so just use integer. Now the third one is string. No, it is actually amount. Third one is years, isn't it? So int years. So convert to integer back, and use years sv, years session variable. Now the last one is actually we are going to have the account type. So account type is string alone, and then use session dot get attribute. So account type sv. Okay, say sv means I just indicate it's going to be a session variable, but you have to convert to string data type, so use string. That's it. Okay, now I have to put all these things in the respective format. First I will just ensure whether you are able to collect all these values. The first one is amount, so plus, then I should have age here, then I should have years, then I should have account type. So account type will just pass, ensure whether all these details are getting collected. So I just go to account type, use finish respective server. Okay, now see here I just passed the amount called as 12,000, and the age is actually 64, and years I just pass it as 5, and just I make fixed deposit. Okay, obviously I am actually getting all the values. Okay, so no issues in the servlet. Now what I have to do, I have to put the things in the appropriate fashion and print the data. Okay, so what is the constraint here? The constraint here is in senior citizen servlet, if it is FD, you have to make it 6.4% per annum. Okay, if it is a recurring deposit, it's 7.5% per annum. Okay, now all we are going to do is we have to calculate the interest here. If it is FD, it is 6.4 percentage. Okay, now we will do one thing. We'll just go to senior citizen servlet here, and I don't want these things. I want to just compare this now. So if account type is equals FD, so I just make a variable here called as double. Okay, you will make double here, double interest. Okay, now I just make it double. Interest is 5.4 percentage. 5.4 percentage can be written as 0.054, isn't it? Okay, else, since we are into senior citizen servlet, if it is FD, if it is recurrent deposit, then it is the statement is given as, okay, its FD is 5.6.4 and it is 7.5 for senior citizen. Okay, so I just recode it again. So it's 6.4, I just make it as 0.064, and interest for this is 0.075. Okay, so if it is FD, I will get 0.64, else I will get 0.75. Now appropriate things has been fixed off. Finally we have to only calculate the total money. Okay, so double total interest. Okay, so how to calculate this interest? So I have to take all these values into consideration. So total interest is I should take double value amount here. So use amount into, and the interest rate, and into the number of years here. So years. Okay, that's it. Now finally I have to put all these values in an appropriate fashion. Now use out.println. The first thing we will have, we'll put its h2 here, and the first is amount. So I just put the amount. So use h2. Okay, now we will copy all this contents here, 1 2 3. Okay, years and interest, amount is given, account type, and last one. Okay, so second one is actually age. So I just give age here, and third one is actually years of the fixed deposit. So I just give years here, and the fourth one is actually the same content called as account type, and account type I give it here as account type, and the last one is the total interest. So total interest I have given in this variable called as total interest. Okay, that's it. Now if everything goes right, then you will get the values here. Now we'll just ensure here, I will give the amount here, account type. I will so run the servlet now. So I give the amount called as 15,000, and the age is actually 63. Obviously it is senior citizen, number of years is 5, and just make it as fixed deposit. Okay, so for 5 years if I just invest 15,000 for senior citizen category, I'll be, if it is a fixed deposit, I'll be getting 4,800. But if I actually give recurring deposit, so what will be the amount? So I will be getting 5,625. So this has happened for senior citizen. Okay, but you can apply the same thing for customer also. So how to actually do it for the customer here? Now listen carefully. The same code has to be copied for customer, but the difference is only the change of interest rate differs here. So I just go to senior citizen and I copy all the code, same code, no difference of the code here. Okay, so I just copy the code. I go to customer now. So customer.java here. It's a customer servlet. So go to do post method and do the same thing here. Okay, but the difference is you have to type welcome to customer servlet. Customer servlet. Okay, now in this case I just give amount SV, everything is okay. Now what the indication specification says, if it is a customer, okay, customer servlet, FD rate is 5.4% and RD rate is 6.5%. So FD rate is 5.4, so I just make it as 0.54 and it is 0.64%. That's it. Okay, now I just go here, and now what you have to do is we are supposed to configure this one, because web.xml I have not configured for customer. So I just go here, servlet mapping. So XYZ, instead of XYZ, just I type YY here also YY, and you have to get customer in URL. When you get customer in URL, you should go to customer servlet. Okay, so now almost the project comes to an end, but we will ensure whether it is running properly. So I just go here, finish it off. Okay, so some issues which is related to the configuration of it. So we'll do one thing. There's some problem in the customer servlet. We'll just go back to bank servlet and customer, instead of request dispatcher customer, we will just make it a CUS. Okay, so CUS, and we'll go to web XML. So instead of here, if I give CAUS, let us see what happens here. Okay, maybe small issues actually will not, it's a hurdle to run the code. So okay, now it's working fine. Now see here, I just give 15,000, and the age is actually I give below the age called as 54. Okay, definitely is a customer, and for 5 years, if I fix the deposit, and I'm going to a customer servlet, and you are getting 4050. Okay, and if you are actually giving recurring deposit for customer, and then you are going to getting 4,800 rupees. Okay, so that's all about the project. Thanks for watching the video. Have a good day. Thank you and Jai Hind.